Hey y'all, this is Rodney Parker, and I'm a gear jamming, tire smoking, truck driving, honky tonkin', whiskey drinking son of a gun. And these are my views. These are my reasons. This is my show. Welcome to the Rodcast. Hello y'all, and welcome to edition number 4 of the Rodcast. And it is I, Hot Rod. And today's subject is something that is very, very touchy in America today. Things have really changed in this subject in the minds of Americans. And this subject is immigration. Now, America has always been the land of immigrants since the Europeans showed up. The Europeans being the first immigrants to this land, other than, say, maybe the Spaniards, and some people say in Newfoundland and that way up in Canada. The Vikings even made it across. But it is a land now of immigrants. And I just wanted to speak to you a little bit of a parable. Imagine that you buy a house. It's your dream house. You've tailored it to be in the image of what you want it to be. You have worked hard and strived and labored in blood, sweat, and tears to achieve owning this place. Now you own it. You own it. You own it title in hand. And all of a sudden, you come home from work and there's somebody sitting on your couch. You didn't invite this person in. They showed up illegally. They walked right through your door without your permission, or without any type of express permission from anybody in the area that says they recommend that this person be there. This person then stays there and tells you it's their right to be in your house. And you need to keep working to pay for the bills, to make sure the electricity's on, to make sure there's food in the refrigerator, and to make sure that the place is insured. And so this stranger starts eating out of your refrigerator, tells you that it's his right to take your food. And if you say anything bad about him taking your food, you're heartless, or you're a donkey orifice, for lack of a better word. And this person just claims ownership of this thing that you have worked hard for, slaved away. You might have even gotten a little bit of inheritance, some generational money from your parents and their parents in order to buy this thing. So it's the blood, sweat, and tears of collective generations. And eventually this person brings in another person, uninvited, and this other person plops down on your couch. And then they have a baby. And so the baby's now living under your roof. And their message to you is you need to keep working and pay your taxes and pay for the insurance in that house and keep that refrigerator full of food, keep the heat on, keep the AC going, and keep insurance on it to make sure that if anything happens, they're taken care of. What I have just described to you is no different in any sense than illegal immigration into the United States of America or Europe or wherever today. I know that a lot of the people that are pro-immigration, they're only pro-immigration or pro-entitlement or pro-this or pro-that as long as they've got your money to pay for it. As long as you are forced by law and by the threat of government force and violence that you must oblige their wishes. Now I'm going to tell you that is not what America is about. America is about individual, not collective, not group, individual freedom and liberty, individual sovereignty. I shouldn't have to pay for illegal immigrants, nor should I have to accept that they're here in my country illegally. I'm paying taxes in this country. I'm paying a lot of taxes in this country. So I got to say, and if you don't like it, that I don't like it, and most of America don't like it, that illegals are here illegally and they should be deported, and they should have to come back in if they do want to come back in legally with the proper documentation, just like I have to have the proper documentation when I go to drive my car down the road with license plates, insurance, driver's license, and everything else. Okay? Immigration needs to be completely halted, in my view. And things need to be re-examined and reacquainted with reality and the law, indeed the law, because the illegal immigration in this country is still illegal. It's just not being enforced as being illegal, and that comes from the President of the United States right on down. And he'll tell you openly that he's breaking the law, but he doesn't really care because he hasn't really paid much attention to the Constitution from day one anyway. Okay, so what in the United States might be a reasonable or proper per capita living standard? And that is very important to immigration, the immigration issue. The living standard goes up and down according to the United States' gross domestic product. In other words, what we produce in the country, how much money there is available in the country. So let's put it this way. Let's say through the collective of the United States, there's $100 and there's 90 people in the United States. Okay? That means you get $1.10 a piece. Now, you get 100 people in the United States, you're down to $1. You get 150 people in the United States, you're cutting in pretty deep to your paycheck. So per capita means a lot. I know that a lot of the illegal immigrants happen to be Mexican folks, and I don't consider these folks personally, from being raised with Mexican heritage people, from having been in Mexico. These folks that I have seen are incredibly hardworking people. They're very industrious people, and they're, for the most part, a very moral people. There's a strong family background in Mexico and with a lot of the immigrants, legal or illegal, that come across. That's not saying that all of them are good, because obviously they're not sending their best when they are sending people. There are people trying to escape situations that they've caused for themselves in the country, and they come in the United States. So the safety of citizens is a very, very important thing. When you have a porous border, let's say with Mexico or Canada, whatever, and you have people coming across, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're all illegal Mexicans. That means that anybody could come across. There's a lot of South Americans coming across the southern border, and now it's a matter of fact that there's a lot of Muslim refugees coming across the southern border, including ISIS, having said, according to reports, that they have sent people across the southern border. So there has to be national sovereignty. There has to be national sovereignty. We have to have our own country, and our country must be defended at the borders and elsewhere. The financial independence and responsibility of people that come into this country is, or it should be, a very big issue. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people are coming here and they're immediately jumping on the government entitlement dole, and they're ripping off the taxpayers. They're thieves. They're stealing from the taxpayers with welfare and things of that nature. I think that immigration needs to be completely renovated, the terms and everything. You have to be able to support yourself financially for the first couple of years that you're within the United States. There has to be a guarantee on that, whether it's just cash, whether it's assets, whether it's stocks and bonds, whatever it is. There has to be some type of a guarantee that when you come to the United States, you're not going to be a burden on the taxpayers. You have to bring also something that is of value to the country. You just can't show up and say, hey, I'll I'll work at McDonald's, or I'll do this and I'll do that. We got plenty of McDonald's workers. We got plenty of low-skilled workers. We need intellectual property here in the United States. We need specific and exclusive talent in the United States. That's how we compete with the rest of the world. So in a lot of those views, I think I'm going to find a lot of people that might agree with me. Maybe not. But I say this to any and all, that it is not your right to express your view upon another sovereign individual and say that they should have to pay for what it is that you want, whether it be immigration, whether it be welfare, whether it be whatever. And I'm just speaking to you in a moral sense, a philosophical and moral sense, okay? You don't own your neighbor's assets and property, which is their paycheck. That's their property and assets. You don't own it. And you don't have a right to say what they should and should not be spending it on, okay? So that's the podcast, or Rodcast, today. I thank you for joining me. Join me again. We've got some more potent issues on the way. Greetings from Honky Tonk Manor, Beulah Land, Michigan, USA.